I'm also going to type in here. Hi, everybody. We are live.
We are live.
We are live. I'm with my buddy Ian. I'm so happy to see him. I told you guys that he was going to make you feel better. He's already making me feel better.
That's it. We are live.
Yeah. So just a reminder that we can see your comments. We can't necessarily see who's here. So just if you type in any comments or questions you have for us, we'd be happy to answer them today. And we're just kind of free flow with each other. I wanted to bring him back on because the last time he was on, we were talking about COVID. COVID had just hit. This was now 3 months ago, and we were dealing about the stress of that.
Yep.
And then a bunch of other stuff hit, which was around some racial injustices and equality. And as a Black man, you are just a wonderful person, as a peaceful Black man,
Thank
a
you. I
wonderful
appreciate
person to talk to about that. So I thought, why not bring you back on just for the goodness of Be Free, for the goodness of humanity, for the goodness of me, because I'm going to ask you some stuff to help myself out.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Because you're a coach, we can coach each other. I was saying to you, like last week, I was having a day.
Absolutely.
I was just having a day. I was like, I can't, but we'll get into that. So I'm sure I'm not the only person that's had those kind of days. And I know multiple people have had, a ton of them.
To be honest, to be transparent, I shut it down all last week. I did
not
post at all
good. I felt better.
And usually I post every day, sometimes twice a day. I did not post the entire last week.
Yeah.
I just needed a week. I really did.
Yeah. That must have been the week, because last week was like, I wasn't feeling anything. As I went through between like anger and then like frustration to like, oh, I'm happy now. And then like, that would last for like a minute. And then I'd have energy. And then I don't know. It was like a fake out when I had energy. It was like, yeah, you have energy. And then I'm like tired. Yeah, there's a whole thing. There's a whole thing. Anyway,
we got energy this morning.
We got energy today. It's Monday.
Live. It's Motivational Monday.
We are. It's so exciting.
Woo! That's it. It's time to share that noble truth.
It is. I know you always have such good noble truth. It's so good. That's so good. So Ian, for the people that don't know you, can you introduce yourself and say who you are and where you're from and where you are right now, and maybe a little bit about how we got connected?
Okay, absolutely. My name is Ian Elmore Moore, and I did say that correctly. Ian Elmore Moore, hyphenated last name. I represent the organization, the Noble Truth Project Incorporated, and the Noble Truth Project LLC. I'm based right now in Atlanta, Georgia, but I'm from up north. I'm from Newark, New Jersey. But I made my way down to Atlanta, Georgia to attend Morehouse College, and I've stayed here the entire time because it's a wonderful city. And everything that's going on right now, especially in Atlanta, Georgia, I still want people to know it's a great place to come and visit. Great place about civil rights, a great place about humanity, great place about love. And I think that's what's so important right now is about love. We got connected. Wow. Probably over a year at this point, over a year through social media, posting on Facebook. I just had launched my LLC and I was starting to get active on social media, and bam, Be Free. We just
I came right in and put you up.
I think, but I think it makes sense, right? Be Free, Noble Truth Project. It makes sense. It correlates, and the work that you're doing is greatly needed and appreciated. I thank you for doing it. I thank you for always inviting me on.
Of course.
To share some type of noble truth with your audience, my audience, and my audience can meet you and start to be free.
Yeah.
And that's the goal. That is the goal, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you do? What's your actual job? Like,
so many
I know
things.
You do a lot. So break it
down. I speak. I do a lot of public speaking events, not so much now because of COVID. So we're gonna have to work this stuff out. But a lot of my public speaking is about intrinsic motivation, and I do it for a lot of young people, but also adults. I do yoga. I'm a certified yoga instructor, and I do yoga at studio. Yeah, yoga skills, comedic yoga instructor. I think somewhere over there, if I can get to the certificate. I don't know how to move the screen, but right there.
You got a lot of certificates back there.
Right there. That's my certificate for certified yoga instructor. I coach. I do a lot of life coaching, so I do a lot of Zoom one-on-one calls. Please visit my website if you're interested, www.nobletruthproject.com, NOBLETRUTHPROJECT. Free consultation. Just want to just talk to you, see if it's a match. If it's a match, let's continue with the services, because I think coaching is very important. I get coached. I got a great mentor, Paul Martinelli, who's been my coach for years. And he's just been helping me, not just in business, but just in personal too. So personal development and professional development is the key. I specialize in mindfulness and leadership development. I believe that, right, you can be successful. You are successful. I believe that you can do all things. Really, really, you can do all things. And it's about unlocking that mindfulness component in you, so you can unlock your dormant power. So I'm just happy to be here, happy to speak, happy to talk about what's going on, happy to share, and also happy to listen and read the comments, and see what other people are talking about.
Are thinking about, are worried about or stressed about. Yeah. If you guys have questions for us, feel free to just put them in the comments. We can hash it out together. Ian and I have done that many times now together. So I think that's our thing.
Hey.
So you didn't mention you're an author.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Author, yeah.
Oh, snap. You wrote a book.
Grow More, 6 Steps to Success. Grow More, 6 Steps to Success. It's available on Amazon. It's now available also on my website, www.nobletruthproject.com. Talks about success. Talks about, right, how you go from a place of like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing in my life, to how can I create my own business? How can I become successful? How can I develop healthy and positive relationships with other people? And those 6 steps are definitely outlined in the book, using some stories, some life experiences, and also some public stories about some public figures that we all know of. And it's a great book. It's a short read. You finish it in one day. You can't put it down. That's what I've been hearing. A lot of people are reading the book. They said, man, I read front to back in no time, man. It was really good.
It was,
a feel-good book. Thank you. It's a feel-good book.
It gives you lots of ideas, like all your stories. I was like, oh yeah, like I've had similar stories. So I'm like, I could it kicks off all those stuff you can just add.
There are 6 steps to success. I guarantee it. Grow More. I forgot to mention I was an author. I didn't know.
I know. It's like, dude.
In the last call,
I've done a lot of things. I'm like, aren't you like all this? I'm like, oh yes, I'm that. Oh my God. Right. Yeah, all those things.
It's time to love. It's time to love.
It is.
It really is.
It really is.
Love. It is time to love. I love you. I love the audience that you have on here that's watching. If you're watching this later, when it's posted, I love you too. Like love, 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 love. That's what we need more than ever. That's what I'm preaching this morning.
I know you're the best.
Gushy, but I'm just.
Oh my God, so gushy.
Yeah,
listen. Here's the thing.
Man, it takes so much to love, right?
It does. So here's where I was struggling this week, right? So, and you tell me what your thoughts are, or if you've had these moments, right? So there's obviously so much going on in the world, and it has to do with race, and it has to do with COVID still. And there's a lot of tension, and there's a lot of reaction to stuff. And so then the things that you're seeing are a lot of protests. The things that you're seeing are a lot of anger. We're seeing some riots. We're seeing some peaceful things, right? So there's really good things. There was a lot of Father's Day stuff that happened yesterday in Boston that I saw that was like absolutely amazing. They all came out saying like, we got to represent and heal as Black men. And I was like crying because I was like, yeah, that's what we're looking for, right? And so the violence and all that gets scary, but I also understand that because there was times this week that I was like, I'm so angry, but I also know that that's just fear. And I also know that like, that's just coming from a scared place and I have to work through that. But then can I be really open about it as a business owner? Like as a person of color, like will people look at me differently if I'm angry? And you know what I mean? Like how do you, and then I do all these peaceful, vigils, which is just my way of being, but it also takes so much more like, I don't know how you say it. Like 5 pieces of my brain to maintain the peace and stay in that love. So what are your thoughts about all that? How do you do
it? I just been focusing on loving everyone, honestly. I went to school where Martin Luther King went to school, so a lot of the philosophies that he was taught, I also learned about nonviolence, And that, I really stand on that. I know people are like, man, so we're done with nonviolence, man. That doesn't work, but it really does. I think my first step in the book, Grow More, the 6 steps of success, I'm gonna share it with you. It's set a goal. I think that's very important. And I think that can help people channel their anger if they have a goal. Like, what is that goal? Anger is fine. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to hate. I say when I start coaching people, if I can share this with you, I ask them, number one, what are you talented in? Like, what do you do better than most people do? Right? And they think about it, like, no, I really don't do that much better. But I'm like, yes, you do.
I get that too. Like, I don't know.
You do something better than most people. Okay. Number two, which a lot of people stumble on for real, is I ask them, what do you hate? They're like, what? What do I hate? I don't hate anything. I'm like, yes, you do. There's something in there that you really dislike, you hate. And it's okay. Identify it. Like, identify what you hate. For instance, I think I do public speaking better than most people. So that's number one. I think I speak to people. Thank you. I think large audiences, a lot of people, right, they get shy, they get nervous on stage, they don't like it at all, right? Boom. I don't really mind it. Number two is I hate young African American men going to prison. I really do.
Oh, that.
I hate that. I hate that. I hate gang members. I hate the idea of selling drugs. I hate the carjack. I hate all of that stuff, right? Coming from Newark, New Jersey, I was exposed to it. I lived through it. I hate that. I really do. I hate when young men are in the I do yoga in the Department of Juvenile Justice. I have a mentoring diversion program working with youth in juvenile courts. I hate that. But that is going to give me my passion. Right. Like, right. It's okay. But now, like that, yeah. So people always say, like, they start wrong and they say, well, what's your passion? What are you passionate about? It's not what you love. It's really what you hate. Because what you hate, if you actually look to change it, it will turn into that. That's what you love. That's what I love to do. I love to speak. I love to inspire, encourage young African American men because I hate for them to end up in situations where they're incarcerated. So I think it's a great place to be in a place of frustration, anger, confusion, right? That's great. Hate, it's okay. But number one, identify what you do well, and then identify what you hate. And I promise you, put them together so you can set a goal. And that's what we need to do. We need to have goals. I think Martin Luther King Jr. had clear-cut goals. Totally. He was like, I got to end Jim Crow. I got to get Black people to vote. It was very crystal clear when you look back what the goal was. Yeah. What the goal was. I hate that people can't vote, right? I hate that people, there's certain laws in place that prohibit people from sitting somewhere or going out to eat somewhere. It was very clear about what we're looking to do. We're looking to do two things, and he got it done. Civil Rights Act, Voting Rights Act. Boom.
He did.
Boom. Yeah. So identify what you're talented in. Identify what you hate. Okay. Set the goal. That's why I think a lot of people are kind of, because they haven't really articulated what the goal is, or they haven't articulated what really do they hate. Like what? Right.
They just know they're angry, and it comes out like.
And it's okay. It's great to be angry.
Yeah, and that's okay. But then it spews out. And so I think your point around getting the goal, because that shifted something dramatically for me. I don't know if you noticed. I was like, oh, wait, hold on.
That's it.
Because instead of me shifting that, what I was doing was getting caught up in, why am I so angry? Why can't I just let this go? Instead of like, oh, girl, love the anger, move with it, understand how you're going to take action around it, and then you just get real excited about what you're doing. Thank you. You just shifted it.
That's the goal. That's it. It's okay to hate something. I think that's the fuel to the fire. That's what's going to get you going. That's what's going to get you.
And I have people that I talk to, but I think I was so stuck in when you get hate. So I was really overwhelmed by oh my God, racism is so big. And like, it's so hard to like look at as this large, and people are in jail, right? So it was like, I was talking about working with police, whole funding police thing, and like trying to stay peaceful just so that we can actually help police, because obviously there's people of color that are in the police departments, and police are not bad, and you know, there's this thing. So trying to balance everyone's anger then against the police and trying to give police a voice, and then trying to, it's like a mind fuck for me too. Like, how do I hold all this without like getting overwhelmed and like, oh my God. First of all,
that's why it goes back to number one. What do you do better than most people? Like, I'm not looking like, I am not a dancer. Like, you're not gonna, I can't dance this way. I'm not a politician. I'm not gonna be political. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not gonna fight in the courtroom. I don't do those things. I don't do those things. And it's okay. I'm not even really, I'm not a protester. I'm really not. Like, I'm not an active protester, and I'm okay with that. I know what I do well. I know how I can take a bite out of this cause or out of this issue. I can only do my piece, my bite. If I do my bite and everybody else does their individual bites,
and collectively together,
we're there.
We change the world.
Let me quick story. I just want to educate the audience and individuals, because Atlanta, Georgia is a powerful place. Martin Luther King Jr.
With all that.
Yeah,
I mean, you're seeing a lot.
But a lot of people in Atlanta have migrated in, right? I said I'm from New Jersey and I migrated. So a lot of people are not from Atlanta. That's number one. They're not. And if they were, they would understand the history. And if they come, they should really do their due diligence and learn the history. So what I'm saying is, Martin Luther King Jr., okay? He wouldn't be as successful as he was without Alonzo Herman. Who in the world is Alonzo Herman? Alonzo Herman was an African-American entrepreneur, okay? He was a barber, and then he ended up owning an insurance company. Millionaire, multi-millionaire. He did real estate project millionaire. He was one of the individuals that was bailing out members of the SCLC. Bailing out Martin. When Martin Luther King was locked up, okay?
A lot.
You know how much bail money was set on Martin Luther King Jr.? You have to think, what type of legal, he's not a lawyer. What type of legal representation?
I know, it's a lot.
Like there's so many people who played a role. We talk about Thurgood Marshall. He wasn't the only lawyer. Like, Martin Luther King didn't have one lawyer. He had multiple lawyers. He didn't have one investor. There's so many investors. How is he traveling all across the United States to do protests and to do marches and rallies? Because people were funding it. But they knew their voice, their talent wasn't on the front lines. They weren't going to speak to the media. Their role was, let me sell this insurance, because African Americans don't have insurance. Get the money, and I can everybody can do something. We don't have to do everything. I think that's what makes people so I gotta
overwhelmed and crazy. Right. Yeah. So I want to reiterate your point, because that was helpful to me too. And I think this is actually really helpful for white people. I know we don't necessarily have to separate race and color and all that, but I feel so. A lot of people come to me, a lot of white people. There's a lot of white people on the Cape. Which it's not bad to come to me, but they're saying what can I do and all this stuff. So it's hard again to narrow down. Well, you should do this and you should do that. But again, to your point is I've had conversations with people what, just like you said, what is your gift that you have, and then how can that make the best impact in this cause, right? So some people are really good with fundraising, right? So let's work together and see if we can have big fundraisers to get more access to mindfulness training for people of color to release that kind of trauma, right? So some people have that. Some people are good communicators, right? We have some stuff happening on the Cape. There's really not some nice flyers going around. So we're getting some people on there that may have a better impact about changing some of that stuff and figuring out who it is. I didn't know that was going on in the Cape. Okay. Anyway, it happens everywhere. It's not
it happens. And
it is. It's just So I have a group.
We lost our Wendy's.
What?
We lost our Wendy's.
Wendy's. You did?
Yeah, they burnt. Yeah, we burnt down the Wendy's. But
I was wait. Yeah, you actually lost your Wendy's.
Yeah, so your flyers, Wendy's, it's just a lot of stuff
It's
going
a
on.
lot of
If you're
stuff.
a business owner, maybe you hire a person of color. You have to start looking like if you really have a big issue about what's going on and you have an opportunity to at least employ somebody, why don't you, employ a person of color, right? Why don't you offer mentoring services? Why don't you coach them, right? There's so many things. Why don't you go to your locals? I know schools are closed right now, but your local school and see like, hey, can I get a mentoring program? And I want it specifically for, men or women of color, or I don't know, but you can do something, but you got to stay in what you're good at.
Right. And not
What you
pretend
good
like
at.
we're good. Right. Not pretend like we're just going to all of a sudden be good at this.
Yes.
Right. Because I think that's what's happening to a lot of white people is like they're out there reading these books, like all these book clubs are popping up, which is super nice. But then let's not pretend we're all of a sudden really good at like being a specific person around race stuff. I think that's a really good point. And it's more impactful to stay with what you know and do that. And you can always, like, it doesn't actually have to be around race. It can be around love. It can be around empathy. It can be around understanding. It can be around listening and hearing.
Yes.
It could be about
Equity
using
is
your
important, though.
voice.
I think people are
Totally.
realizing equity. Like, right, I'm a black yoga instructor
Finally.
and I'm a male. Like, there's no, like I told you, I go to yoga studios in Atlanta. There's sometimes I'm the only, of course, the only black male, but sometimes even the only male. Right. So like, but me being in that space, right, I now teach a lot of young African Americans yoga. I'm their teacher. I'm their yoga instructor. So I intentionally do it in the DJJ, intentionally do it in the juvenile courts, intentionally do it for basketball and football teams, high school teams around this area, so they can see it, so I can expose them to it. But that's what I do. You see, I'm bringing my mindfulness to the population that I wish to serve. I'm good at that. I'm good at the mindfulness. I'm not trying to preach to them that, like, no, I know I can get them to meditate. That's what I do good. I can guide them in a meditation really well. So if I got an issue with young African-American males who are incarcerated and I'm good at meditation, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to meditate for them. Like, it can be anything because you're doing something. You're doing something. That's positive. Another thing I got to address. I got to address this too.
Do it.
It's been on my mind. Nobody's perfect.
And I feel like there's certain people trying to be perfect right now.
I think people are operating on. I got to be careful.
Expectations that are just, I don't know. I see what you're saying.
We're in absoluteville. It's like you're this way or that way. It's like white or black. Like there's no like
left or right, like, Trump or no.
like you can have like. I'm a great communicator. I can speak to people very well. I'm not gonna lie. As a coach, I struggle and I can get better at listening. I'm not. I could be better and stronger at listening. We have strengths. We have weaknesses. Everybody does. So I dislike. I won't say, hey, I dislike what's going on. Is that it's a box. It's like the police are wrong.
Right.
Yes. Now I agree. Like, yes.
Yes. The answer is yes. And
they're wrong. And right. The individuals are also wrong. Like, it's okay. It's okay to say that, like, both people are wrong or both people are right. And I'm not a lawyer. I'm not the jury. I'm not on trial. I'm not the judge. I don't like, that's not I can say that this right here is right. And this right here, what this person did is wrong. And I can also say what this person did is right. And what this person did is wrong. Like, people are people. Right. People are people. That's the whole point of being a person, is you're going to have flaws. Right. People have flaws. That's what makes us human beings. We're not robots. And I think what's going on in the messaging, especially to my young African-American men, I don't want to confuse them with the messaging that's saying that this officer is the only person wrong here. Like, I want to also say, like, hey guys, he's absolutely wrong. But I don't want you to do that either, because then, I mean, I got to call a spade a spade. You're wrong too. Like, we got to, like, we can't be in that space of like, yo, this is the only group that's wrong. Everything that they're doing is wrong. and I'm gonna neglect the fact that this population, these people are doing like, no, guys, we gotta call it out for what it is.
Yeah.
I gotta be honest, and it's not a popular opinion right now, but that's what that's what leadership is. I think Martin Luther King Jr.
Yes,
that's what real leadership is standing down on your feet and just calling it out what it is. I wish we were protesting about these gang members and gangbangers and these innocent drive-by shootings where we get little girls killed in Atlanta, Georgia.
I know there was a 3-year-old that died. That was horrible.
I gotta go against the gang members and the police that have police brutality with the same enthusiasm. I can't, you know what I'm saying? Me personally, I can't just go at one and we're not looking at the other. I got to look at all sides. And I think Martin Luther King did it best because at one point he was against the Ku Klux Klan and he was speaking out against the Nation of Islam and Malcolm X. He said both are, he was.
I know it. It's a good way to look at it. Yeah.
He was saying that, like, he was like, hey, like, I respect my brother Malcolm and, you know, Honorable Louis Muhammad, but like that rhetoric is very it's in the same space as this other group, the Ku Klux Klan. Like it's the same. It's just two opposites of the spectrum. I can't say that this group is better than this group just because they match my skin color.
Sure. So that's a
powerful thing to say because that means you're looking past skin color. You're looking at love. You're looking at right. You're looking at justice. You're looking at truth. That means I'm not looking at skin color. Martin Luther King was so deep because the brother wasn't even really looking at skin color. He was looking at love. He was preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ. He was like, man, like I love my enemies, and I'm gonna love on the people who are in my circle. If people were fighting in his movement, you know how mad he was. You know
I know that stuff gets so dramatic, even though it's like you're in the same. I know.
He was like, no, like we're not out here to be violent. We're not out. I don't care if they get the dogs. I don't care. Like we're not out here for that.
Right.
If you do that, I cannot speak for you.
It doesn't help the mission. Sure, it doesn't feed the mission.
I can't advocate for you. I can't defend you because I don't stand for that. Even though you are the same race, and yes, you're fighting kind of with me in the same, like the way I can't get with that. I can't, and I think that to me shows that it's really not about race. It's really about justice.
It's about justice, absolutely, and equity, and justice and equity, absolutely.
I think that right there is something that I'm not hearing on the news stations today. I'm not hearing.
No, there's a whole lot of
people are really scared.
Very scared
to say that noble truth.
Right. Yeah.
That's an honest, and I'm being. I know.
He's like, and that's a noble truth.
That's a noble truth. Bam. It's okay. It really is. It's okay.
It really is.
Spade to spade.
Right.
I gotta look at my brother the same way I look at my neighbor. I'm gonna be like, hey, bro. You're my brother. I love you. I love you more than I love my neighbor, technically. But like, bro, you're wrong. Like, you're wrong. And the neighbor's wrong. Like, we got it. Like, and that's the only way you're going to get to diplomacy or resolution. That's the only way is when you start to be truthful and honest and look in the mirror and saying, like, okay, this is everything. And I mean, otherwise, it's just us versus it's gonna be.
Well, yes, I think that's what's happening right now. Is we're doing like an us versus them of all sides, right? So it's all like sides. Politics, it's all police, sides. It's violence, it's peace, it's all of it. And then you feel like you got to choose, like it's protesting, and then it's not, or you know what I mean? You're just trying to pick a side and then stay in your lane, but that's hard, right? So I think what I've been trying to do, especially with these lives on Monday and Friday, is really bring a diverse voice to this, because it isn't just one side, and you cannot just sit on one side, because like you said, we're human beings. Our thoughts are fluid. So are our feelings, and so is the feelings in our body. So if we're going to try to understand that as a person of color, as a white person, as a person who's on the right wing, left wing, whatever, we have to figure out what it is that we believe in truthfully, and then communicate that to somebody else in a way that's not a bark right? I feel like people are barking at each other like, if you don't believe in this, then you're
absolutely wrong.
It's like, no, it's like, how about maybe think about this? And even my thought process has gone different. Like, I'm not a Trumper. I don't like anything that he stands for, but there are certainly people that I have loved in my life that have voted for him. And it's not black and white. It's not necessarily, I didn't even mean black and white in terms of like race and it's not concrete, right?
Yeah.
Some of that is fluid, and some of that is background, and some of that is history, and some of that is, systems that we've grown up in. Some of that is age in terms of understanding of how we built businesses and economics.
Period.
So it's all wrapped up in that. And so to just lash out and pick one side and then come at each other doesn't make any sense. No.
You gotta, man, you gotta love everybody. I can't, if you say that you don't like a person, you hate a person, you can't find one thing that you love about them or you like about them. To me, I kind of like, I gotta tune you out because I'm like, that's too negative. That's too much. Like, there's something about that person.
Oh, people are beautiful. People are beautiful.
Everybody,
everybody,
even our president. There's one thing
even
that we can say that, okay, it might be for real, one thing.
I know. If we're gonna be leaders, Ian, we gotta do that.
We gotta do that. Right? We gotta do that.
We gotta look at people as entities.
Once you say that, you're gonna break down the wall on the other side. The other side is gonna be like, okay, I'm listening now because you said something good. You said something positive, so now I can hear you out. But if like you said, if you're barking and everything is negative, everything I can't listen to you. I can't gain compassion. I can't get empathy. Like I gotta put my foot on the other person's shoe. I gotta wear the other person's shoe. I gotta there's one thing that I can say good about law enforcement. There's one thing that I can say good about our president. There's one thing that I can say good about everybody in this situation. Even if I don't agree with everything they do, just pick one thing because you gotta have love. It's about love. That's it. Even Martin Luther King, people were spitting on my man. They spit in his face. Totally.
Yeah.
Like, come on, he got death threats. Like this man, come on, guys. Like, I can't. Man, and he still had love for people. It was like,
totally. Yeah.
What? How in the world do you? But that's what makes you so strong.
Right.
That's what makes you so powerful. That's what makes you a great leader. That's what makes you remembered. Is that nobody can say anything really negative about Dr. Martin Luther King because he couldn't say everything was negative about you. He couldn't.
Right.
He would say something that's positive. Even George Wallace out there in Alabama, that crazy governor, he would say something. He would say something positive about George Wallace just to get him to open his ear. That's important. That really is. And I think that's what needs to be going on. So those two things are very important in this dialogue right now is say something find something good about the other side. Even if you hate the other side, I get it. You're angry, you're frustrated. Find one thing. Start with that. Because once you start with that, they're going to hear you. And then you can go into, okay, The second thing is you really have to set a goal. You really have to turn that anger around, boom, and turn it into a passion. Turn it into a passion to change. And stick to what you're good at. Stick to what you're good at.
Exactly. So do you know how I do? So when I'm having difficulty with people that I have, so say there's something internal coming up around somebody. I don't want to use Trump, for example, because now we're getting challenged to find good things about Trump. I don't want to give him any more energy. But so say it's somebody that irks me. So say somebody says something racist, right? And they don't, and half the time it's they don't know it. They're just not educated. But me as a person of color, that pisses me right the fuck off. And I'm and you shouldn't be ignorant and go educate yourself, right? But that's
the finger coming out. The finger came out.
But because I think what's so powerful between you and me is that mindfulness has shifted the way I'm able to then respond to those things. Absolutely. So I won't respond in the moment. I may just shift the conversation, but then I will go meditate, figure out what my response is to that, figure out why is that and sometimes people can say stuff and it just bounces right off me. Sometimes people say stuff and it really fucks with me. So there's different ways, you know, and then I got to go internal, meditate about it. And then I even give them love and light when I'm meditating, because I half the time I know a lot of it is fear. So all this racism stuff that people are like projecting, even if it's anger, even if it's white supremacy people, that's a really scary place to be. To hate other people that much is so, there is so much fear inside that person that scares the shit out of me. More for their own
so
personal being than anything else, right? Because if you're going to go hurt somebody else, it takes a toll. If you're going to hurt somebody else, it takes a lot.
Drain you. Yeah, it's really
bad. Something's really
off. You gotta
be
free. Gotta be free.
Right? There's a lot of healing that happens there.
You gotta be free, and that's the key. Is like we are physical beings, right? That's what we're stuck on. This color race, right? We're mental beings. We have the capacity to think and be creative. We are emotional beings, so we go through emotions. They come one day, they're gone the next moment, right? They're fluid, they're emotional. And then we're spiritual beings. And I think that's the part that we're not really getting on. Is like, that's the part that I think Dr. King, I keep going back to Dr. King because he's a great example, but even Gandhi, Tasaku Ikeda, there's so many people, but spiritual beings. Like, you got to see people for their spiritual self, you know, because once you see them as a spiritual being, like, man, you'll find something good. Like, you're a spiritual being. That right there is something good. I respect your spirituality. I respect your existence. I expect that you're here. Yeah, you're here for a reason. Like, you're a spiritual being. And I think that is very important to notice that people are not just physical. They're not just mental. They're not just emotional, but they're also spiritual beings. See people with your spiritual eyes, and you'll find something good. You'll find something good, because you're right. That hate is draining. It is a lot of energy. It's man, it takes a toll on the person who's hating.
It really does.
It really
really does. Yeah.
Yoga, meditation. And it takes inner strength. You gotta be vulnerable.
What's that?
You gotta be vulnerable. I mean,
Jesus, great word.
Might appear weak. It might appear weak, like I said, to love your enemies, and you're talking about peace and love, and they're coming at you with all this hate and all this anger, and you're just like, I mean, it might come across as weak. It might come across as, you know, not strength, but like, honestly, it's true strength. Honestly, it shows vulnerability, and that's huge, because you're vulnerable not to that person. You're vulnerable to a higher source, because you realize you're spiritually right. Not in the human law, not in what's right in this place. You're right on a higher plane. And when you're operating from a higher plane, man, like, it's going to work in your favor no matter what. You know what I'm saying? You got to get to that other place.
Dude, do you know how sophisticated that level of operating as a human being is?
It's difficult. I meditate every day. That's why I got this auto suggestion, so I can see this picture of just like floating. My man is you know, he's floating. I just got to get auto suggestion and realize that it is possible.
It is so possible, right? So that's the other thing, is for people out there to hear. I think the injustice that we're seeing, it's possible. So change is possible, and change is happening. But it does take that inner work, no matter where you're at on the spectrum, right? There's a spectrum to this. There isn't, like we said before, there isn't this good, bad, yes, no. There is a spectrum, and there's a learning trajectory that we're all in right now. So just being in that process of it, right, and being spiritual beings is huge. But that's a high level of sophistication of operation, shall I say. Right. But it's a really good place to be, because that's why I teach yoga, because, and you probably do too, the second people walk in my studio, I see them as spiritual beings. And it gives me that structure to be able to work that, no matter what their thought process is. Right. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. It's all about healing. All of it. It's all about healing.
Meditation is a great practice to allow you to realize that you are a spiritual being. Sometimes we get so bogged down. There's so much information, and we're like, man, I'm not a spiritual being. I got bills to pay. Man, I'm not a spiritual being. Like, I got like, bro, like, there's so much going on that when you meditate, if you've ever been in Shavasana and you like wake up and you like during the Shavasana, you didn't think about none of that stuff. Right? You weren't thinking about your physical body. You weren't thinking about mental. You weren't thinking about emotional. You were like literally in a spiritual state. You were
Yeah.
relaxed, you were calm, you were at peace. It wasn't positive, it wasn't negative. You were just at peace. You were still. So meditation is a great practice to help you elevate. Also, journaling.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Having a journal, writing in your journal. Like literally, I got a journal. Like there's so many entries every day. Like,
every day.
No lie, I'm
He
not
does it
telling you
every
to do
single day. He
something.
shows me.
I'm not telling you to do something that I don't do. And I just write down my thoughts about how I felt this day. And then I go back over it. By the end of the day, I read it over and I reflect on it. So having that time to flush it all out, and then also having time to just reflect on it, and having that time to be intentional, to be still, and to meditate, that's going to allow you to get to that. It has worked for me. That's going to allow you to get to that higher vibration. So you can. It's self-awareness. The more you become, more aware with yourself, the more mindful with yourself, the more you'll start to see, the spirituality in other people as well. Yeah, man, it's powerful Monday motivation. Wow, I'm feeling it.
I think I'm gonna watch this like 10 times over.
Wow.
I learned a
lot. I'm learning a lot too. It's just, man, it's so deep.
So
There's so much going on. I just want to tell everybody like how we started. Like, I really do love you. I appreciate you.
I love you too.
For who you are. Yeah, I love you for who you are. Like, as a spiritual being, like, yeah.
I think the first time we talked, there was like spiritual connection, like the second we said hello.
Yeah, that's great. Because we've been practicing before we met each other. We were already on a different vibration. We weren't coming from a lower self. We were coming from a higher self. And,
totally.
That's very important. We were already self-aware. We already had a level of self-awareness. And honestly, you can do something that I don't agree with, and guess what? I'll still love you.
Right, exactly. Ditto.
Like, it doesn't, like, there's okay, because you're not you're not me. You're not me.
You're different people,
you're not going to agree. We're not going to have the same beliefs, the same things all the time. And we're friends, right? We could be in a relationship. It doesn't matter. We're not going to agree on every single thing. But that doesn't mean let's still love you.
Right.
It doesn't mean I can't still love you.
And in fact, it's more impactful that you can see somebody for who they are, disagree with them, and then still love them. Right? How powerful is that? So cool. It's so cool.
When we look at the people in history, life. That's it. That is life. Yeah. When we look at the people in history who operate like that, they're remembered. They're revered. Like, they're really revered. Like, to live out that type of lifestyle on a daily basis is difficult. But when you operate like that, people will not, they don't forget every moment that you meet a new person. They're like, you are completely different than any other person I met. Because they feel that energy, they feel that vibration, they feel that love. It's powerful. It really is. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, to get to that place. I don't think I reached it yet. I don't know if I ever will, but I'm going to keep striving. And I pray that
it's a lifelong journey. Sure.
It is. Because there's always something that's going to happen that's going to try to get you back to being your lower self, man. And man, if we're reading all these books, please read, Martin Luther King, Strength to Love. Please read Gandhi. Gandhi taught King, man. Gandhi taught King, honestly. I can't say enough about Gandhi. He was starving himself so people can realize I'm not just a physical being. Like, we got to get to the spiritual level, man. He was powerful. He's small man in stature. Small man in stature.
No, he's tiny, dude.
Giant. And we're still I never met him. You know what I'm saying? And we're talking about him 100 years later type stuff. So, the work that you do when you operate on that level is...
it's a higher plane. And then it takes the fear out of it, and it takes the anger out of it. Again, not that any of that is bad, but I can hold space for people of color, and I can see the trauma that's in there, the racial trauma that they've had for years that they don't even know is there. And so if I'm doing yoga or a workshop and they're like, how did you do that? I'm like, I just held space. I just saw your pain and I helped you breathe it through. Same thing, though, for people that are in a space of fear, which is a lot of white people, that even white supremacists, right? I will call them white supremacists. Not that I've had a lot of interaction with them, but I have had people that I've had interaction with them, and they're looking at me like, why aren't you so fucking angry at me? It's not that I'm not. It's just that I can see people as human, and that their ideals came from somewhere that has nothing to do with me. It has to do with their own shit. And so if I can see that, witness it, and then have a conversation, now we're moving somewhere.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
You separated the person from their behavior. You separated,
it's not comfortable
from their
let me not lie.
Yeah, from their divinity. But still what you said is so powerful. You're separating, what they're presenting to you, and you're seeing the spiritual self in them. Oh my God, you're seeing it. You're separating the person from the behavior. It's powerful. Right. That's a powerful thing.
Right.
And,
well, that's how
you are a powerful person to be able to do that.
Operate on a spiritual plane. That's what you do, right? That's how you operate from a higher self. My higher self sees the higher self in other people. That's all it sees. It doesn't see anything else.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And you will always be protected by that.
I will always nothing be protected by that. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that so cool?
You have nothing to fear because you're on a higher plane.
Yeah.
You're protected by a spiritual. So that's woo. If you guys get it like this, like I don't know, like this conversation right here, man, I'm blown away. It's bringing me almost like I'm about to cry. It's just so deep.
It's so good.
But
listen, I want people to also know, like, that doesn't come out of nowhere, right? No. That comes out of me doing a lot of introspective work and getting rid of my own personal trauma, right? Sitting with what's uncomfortable as long as I needed to be able to operate on this higher level. So it's not like it just doesn't come out of anywhere. It takes a lot of sitting in what's uncomfortable. And writing it down and looking at it later and not being afraid to look at your own stuff.
We're doing the work. That's the only way. I'm not lying to people when I say, like, I literally journal. I literally meditate. Like,
I know you do.
On a daily basis.
Yeah.
That's the only way you can operate at this plane. You're right.
I know.
You got to put in the work. You're absolutely right. You don't want to misinterpret. People want to get confused, think they can just hop and do it. Like, no.
I don't be like, yeah, I'm good. Ayanna told him. Ayanna Ian said I'm good.
I listened to this one call and I got it. I got it now. Oh man, I feel it. I got it. But like, yeah, you're gonna have to put in the work. You're going to have to, because it's a self-awareness thing. It's a you thing. It's a you and you deal.
I'm like, absolutely. Yeah.
It's a you and you thing. It's a you and you thing. Nobody can really get you to that place, but you.
Yeah.
We can help you. We can guide you. We can coach you. But at the end of the day, you're gonna have to take out your own time to do it.
Yeah.
Take the initiative.
And what I'm telling people too is just to your point about and then we got to wrap up in a little bit, but around like doing what you're good at. Like, I feel like particularly with white people right now, they're so wanting to help and then wanting to take action like right away. But it's like, it's okay to sit with it for a minute. Like, racism has been around forever. We're dealing with it for 400 years. It looks different, right? It's still here. It's still going to be here in a while. But like, it's okay to sit with like how it is that you want to take action, and so that feels good to you, instead of like, just like going a million places because you're afraid that if you don't do something, either a person of color is going to be mad at you, or you feel like you're not, bounding with justice, or you're not, part of the solution to the problem. It's like,
that's sad.
It's okay to still be human in this, and just like really like honoring your own process and what will work for you. Because as you said, if you just jump out and do whatever, and you're not really good at that, that's just going to fall apart.
Yeah, because it's going to come across as not being genuine.
And genuine.
And the people who are hating on you, right? The people who are pressuring you to feel like you got to do something, like, come on. That's what I'm talking about. They haven't reflected upon themselves either. Because if they did, they would operate at a higher place. They would understand it has nothing to do with you.
Right.
What can you do? This is an individual thing. Racism is an individual thing. People have to do their individual. Yeah, if everybody operates like, okay, this is what I'm doing for you, this is what I'm doing, that's how we're going to get somewhere. I mean, otherwise you're putting a Band-Aid on it. You just put a Band-Aid on it. You're not going deep. So this is a situation where you got to go internally deep. And it's going to take time. Like I said, I post every day, sometimes 2-3 times a day. And I took all last week off. I didn't post a thing because and it's really sad because people are criticizing people for their opinions. And that's why we're here. That's why we're in this country. People have the freedom of speech. I mean, you might not agree with it, but they
Yeah, but who
have their
cares?
voice. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it shouldn't bring you down. It shouldn't make you feel like, all right, cancel them out, cancel the coach,
Right. I
cancel them out. Like,
know.
please. That's why people are so nervous. They're like, oh, I gotta jump on the bandwagon, or else I'm gonna get. And that would make it not genuine. That's what makes it feel like it's like you just did it so you won't get canceled out. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, just be true, be transparent, take time out yourself to figure out how can I help? How can I really, tackle this issue? If this is an issue you care about. Let's be real, right? It might not be an issue you care about, and that's okay too.
Right.
That's okay. Just operate from a higher place. If you operate from a higher place, I promise you, like Dr. King, you're not going to see race. You're not. You're just going to see people as spiritual beings. And that's what the level I'm looking to get at, is just to see people for who they are, who they really are,
Yeah. And then understanding, I guess, how, like, sometimes it just takes having conversation with sometimes, like, how do they understand their race in terms of themselves? Because it's all different. Like, people, lump people of color together, or Black people, and it's not. I've had so many conversations with people that are just dealing with their own racial identity, and they're grappling with, like, having it come from an external, like, representation. And it's really, well, no, let's talk about what that means internally, and then we'll talk about the outside, like, messages that you're getting, because that is so confusing. But it's the same thing where, like, white people are like, I'm not a race. It's like, well, but you've been represented in this way, and, like, culturally, who are you? And then let's talk about who you represent as a white person in the world. Like, there's all these dynamics that come into play that just get lost because people are so stuck on one side or the other right now. Yeah.
That's where I was for a long time. Just as an African American male, to just to be successful, it's really hard for Africa. That's why I'm so focused on this, because, like, right, man, growing up in Newark, New Jersey, people would think I was soft the way I'm talking right now. I'm not hood enough. I'm not street enough. Or I could be too street, too hood. Like, it was such a struggle for me growing up to be okay with who
you are.
Yeah, and I think that's, man, especially I can speak for a young African-American man as one, that was very difficult. And it's very difficult for African-American men today to figure that out. Like, yeah, but it's an internal thing. People are going to say what they're going to say. They're going to do what they're going to do. Find your self-awareness, find out who you are, stand on it, and be okay with it. I mean, you're not here to please these other people anyway. You got to be okay with looking in the mirror and saying, I'm doing what I'm doing and I'm happy.
Right. And being a male, and then being a Black male with
doing
the
yoga,
all of that. But the messages I think that Black men get around, like, their worthiness, particularly around how many are in jail and the justice system, is like, it's a piece of shit. Basically, you're born in America saying you're a piece of shit if you're a Black male. I mean, that's the messages in terms of media and other people. It's not like moms are giving that information. And it's not like, it's theirs. And so the pain that Black men feel all the time, coupled with all of this
internal racism,
like you wake up and get out of bed, goddamn right.
Yeah, man, you going to the bus stop, you better be, have that mean mug on your face. I talk about that. I'm like, you have to do it. It felt like, man, if not, you're gonna be violated.
Right. You gotta have taken advantage of, like, all the time just to live.
Man,
that's
but
horrible.
Once you get that self-awareness, taking time to journal, to meditate, to free yourself. And I'm telling you, you won't be scared. I mean, and then you're going to operate for what you feel is right, and you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. Man, it's a great.
I know.
Great conversation. So much.
The vulnerability piece for men is really tricky. I hate to call my husband out again on that, but it's really hard. It's hard. It's hard because you're taught in so many ways not to be that way, right? And I'm not saying women don't have issues. We have a lot of stuff, particularly women of color have a lot of stuff that they are also battling in terms of equity in the world. But it is really hard, men and vulnerability, just to be able to share what you're feeling in general.
Yes.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being vulnerable with me today.
Oh, absolutely. Because I did it with myself.
Right, you did it with yourself first.
I did it with myself several years ago. It's like that's the key. Like, that's the key. That's what I'm really helping, hoping that people get is like you gotta go in with yourself first.
Right.
Before you can advocate and help anybody else. You got to do the dirty work with yourself. And
Right.
that's going to take some time. That's going to take some
Right.
meditation. That's going to take some reflection.
Yeah.
But when you come out of that, you're going to come out of there super strong.
So strong.
Yeah. Now you can really help people because you're
right. Exactly. Now you can
you're
really
good.
help people. Right.
You're
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Years ago, there's no way I was pretending like I was helping people. It was empty. Totally empty.
Yeah. 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 That's key.
Yeah.
This is excellent. Excellent.
It was
excellent.
great. Any final words you want to say before we go?
I just am so thankful again. And my message today is I love you. I just love everybody's watching. I just love you. I really do. I love you for who you are. I love you for being a spiritual being. I love you. And there's nothing you can do about it. How about that?
Yeah, ditto that, everybody. There is nothing you can do about with me loving you.
That's it.
I haven't showed you. Let me just, reiterate that. There was nothing you can do about that.
It took me a long time. Again, it took me a long time to get to that place to be like, I love you.
Right.
As an African-American male.
Right.
You love all people. Man.
That's hard.
To even utter the words, I love you to anybody.
Right. To even say that out loud.
Anybody. Like,
right.
It took me so long. It took a lot of meditation. It took a lot of reflection. It took a lot of journaling. It took a lot of affirmation to get to the place to be where I'm saying live.
Right.
All people watching. And you can record this. It's live, right? I love you. And there's nothing you can do about it. And I'm okay with it. Like, call me out on it. I love you. And I'm saying it genuinely. I'm saying it honestly. I'm saying it truthfully.
Yeah.
That's what I want to leave y'all with.
Yeah, ditto what he said. That's what I'm gonna leave y'all with.
That's it. That's it.
I think we should probably just do this once a month. You in?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I got the time for right now. Yeah, I got time. I got the time.
Wait, hold on.
Hopefully, coronavirus, will free it up a little bit. But yeah,
Yeah.
Let's just play it month by month, things of that nature. But
yeah, why not? I think it's just a good conversation that we can just keep having that will be beneficial for everybody all the time.
Absolutely. I think today's,
and if not, just
today's, I'm definitely going to go back and watch this over and over again because this one right here, man.
Yeah, it really helped
me. There's some. Yeah, I know it.
Yeah, I feel very different in a great way.
I feel really good. Yeah. We'll start the day.
Yeah. All right, my friends. You have a good day. And if you guys want to come to the Cape sometime, it's open. Please take us up on that, okay?
That's it. Likewise in Atlanta.
Oh, okay. All right. See you later.
Peace.
Bye.